So last week we had absolute outrage when a plus-sized influencer suggested that plus-sized people should get an extra airline seat for free. Now, everyone was talking about this for a day, and in my opinion, the mainstream media and the independent media missed a couple of important points with this. I'm going to quickly go through this story with you, and I'm going to raise some of the key issues that I think were missed, because there's a lot more to this story than a sense of entitlement. Let's put it that way. First of all, let's have a listen to what our influencer had to say.
No one should have to endure the discomfort, embarrassment, and discrimination that often comes with being a plus-size passenger trying to navigate air travel. By signing this petition, you can help us demand that airlines take concrete steps to make air travel more inclusive and accommodating for all passengers.
So there we go. Let's make airline travel more inclusive and accommodating for all airline passengers. And the petition has been raised, and here it is. It's on change.org, which if you haven't come across change.org before, this is the place where people launch petitions to make political change and changes in relation to human rights. And now it's a place where plus-size passengers demand extra plane seats. And here we go, looking for 10,000 signatures. Right now, we're at 8,272. So who is Jaylene Cheney, the lady demanding change in the airline industry? Well, here she is. A lot of people were clearly talking about her on Twitter. She made it onto nearly every major news network in the world. And here she is on Instagram. There you go. Please be sure to follow me for more plus-size travel tips. This is the niche that she's created for herself, which is great marketing. You go and find a niche that nobody else is dominating, and you dominate it. And she's an influencer. So what is an influencer? Well, here she is influencing.
I'm now officially a Jessica, and this dress I chose. Look at all the beautiful. This is Jessica North dress, and it's
there you go. She's a Jessica Dreamer influencer. She influences people to buy products. Therefore, she's in the sales and marketing industry. I nearly said the shilling and marketing industry then. The two aren't widely removed from each other, are they? So, getting yourself on every major news network with a campaign for something which is almost definitely never going to happen and creating absolute public outrage and division is going to get you a ton of followers. And what that ton of followers is going to do is increase your value as an influencer. So the next time the dress company comes along, she can ask for more money. But I think this goes a lot deeper. And here's how. Because I think her energy and passion is a little bit misdirected. Here's why. US experts call for crackdown on gender-bending chemicals found in food. Now, this is from the Mail Online, which is little more than just a tittle-tattle tabloid propaganda outlet. But if we read this paragraph, biophenol, a BPA, is an industrial chemical used in the production of plastics and aluminium cans. BPA. Now, this article talks about these BPAs getting into your food and becoming gender bending. But there is a lot more to it than that. So, a little bit of light research is needed. So, biophenol A. Bisphenol A, BPA. Bisphenol A, BPA, is a chemical produced in large quantities for the use primarily in the production of polycarbonate plastics. Now, polycarbonate plastics are those plastic containers that your food goes into. Now, this is from the National Institute for Environmental Health Sciences in the USA, and this is relevant to every country in the world. Now, in a test conducted by the Center for Disease Control in the US, the CDC, they found detectable levels of BPA in 93% of the 2,517 urine samples that were tested. So, what does BPA have to do with food And what does BPA in food have to do with an influencer asking for extra airline seats? Well, I'm about to tell you. So this is a particularly interesting article. It comes from NRDC.org, learn about the climate crisis, and this is indeed a climate crisis. Forever chemicals called PFAS show up in your food, clothes, and home. So PFAS have infiltrated our food system. These chemicals are frequently used to make up packaging like pizza boxes grease resistant, and they also make pans non-stick. Now, thanks to a petition from NRDC and our partners, the US Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, banned these PFA chemicals from use in food packaging in early 2016. But hundreds of their food chemical cousins are still widely used. So a small number of these chemicals were banned, but hundreds of other chemicals are still found in your food and the packaging. Here we have an article from the EPA, which is the US Environmental Protection Agency. You might have heard of them recently. This article had to be found using the Wayback Machine in archive.org because it's no longer on the EPA's website. But this is quite an interesting article. What are PFAs used for? PFAs have been widely used to make products more stain resistant, waterproof, and or non-stick. For example, PFAs, forever chemicals, have been used in the manufacture of products that keep food from sticking to cookware, make upholstered furniture, carpets and clothing resistant to soil, stains and water, make shoes, clothes and mattresses more waterproof, keep food packaging from sticking to food, and help fires at airfields and other places where petroleum-produced fires are a risk. So, a chemical that helps put out petrol fires is present in our food packaging. Okay, that doesn't sound great, does it? Here we have an article from Wired. Forever chemicals are in your popcorn and your blood. Now, this article is more talking about microwave popcorn, but there's some very interesting points to be found in this article relating to the food that you eat. And this is the big headline. The NHANES dataset revealed that 93% of Americans had detectable levels of BPA, forever chemicals, in their blood. 93%. Now, this is from a study that was conducted back in 1992 by Stanford University. So, since 1992, your government and the companies that manufacture the boxes that your food goes into, the packaging that your food goes into, and manufacture your food have known that these chemicals are dangerous and seeping into the food. Now, PFAs are predominantly found in the fast food industry, meaning that burgers, pizzas, and things like microwave popcorn contain higher levels than other foods. Don't forget, the PFAs are used as a grease-resistant surface. Now, there's a lot of research that you can do into the effects that these forever chemicals found in our urine and our blood have on our health. There's a ton of studies out there connecting them to various forms of cancer, various forms of liver problems, and the list is absolutely endless. You don't need to be a chemical wizard to understand that a chemical used to put out petroleum fires really shouldn't be in your food, and if that is in your food, it's not going to be great for your health. Now, at the end of the day, we live in a time in our society when between me and you, right now, one of us is going to get cancer in our lifetime. That's undisputable. That's been reported in virtually every country in the world that 1 in 2 people will catch cancer. Now, how are these cancers happening? How are we catching them? No one seems to be looking at that. Should we be looking more at our food? Now, here's another interesting article. Before I tie all of this together and tell you how our plus-size influencer fits into this jigsaw puzzle. So here we have an article from Guardian.com that was published more than 2 years ago. The poison found in everyone. Okay, even unborn babies. And who is responsible for it? Chemicals called PFAS or PFOS, known as forever chemicals, are in the blood of virtually every person on the planet. Let me repeat that for you. Virtually every person on the planet. Now, this article in The Guardian talks about how these PFAS, or forever chemicals, managed to make their way into the blood of virtually every single person on the planet. There is a fantastic documentary, I think it's on Netflix, called The Devil We Know, which talks all about this, and I would advise anybody out there to go and watch it. So, cancer-causing chemicals in pizza boxes and fast food boxes that make their way into your blood system and manage to pollute virtually everything on Earth. What the hell has that got to do with a plus-sized influencer talking about extra seats on planes for plus-sized people? Well, it comes down to this. It comes down to a platform and your use of it. Now, this lady here campaigning for extra seats for plus-size people is clearly trying to stir up rage, and in doing so has generated extra Instagram followers and been able to increase her advertising rates, meaning companies will give her more money to advertise their products because she's an influencer. That's what an influencer does, and that's what's good for business. Now, shouldn't someone like this, considering she's plus size and probably eats a lot more takeaway pizzas than I do, shouldn't she actually be campaigning for change in the food industry and maybe using her platform as a vehicle to push for change in the area of maybe not putting poisonous and deadly chemicals in the packaging that seeps through into the food, that gets into our bodies, and is probably responsible for the fact that between me and you right now, one of us is going to get cancer. Because they're the figures that have been released by virtually every health service on Earth. 50% of people, 1 in 2, is gonna get cancer at some point in their life. But who's really doing a study into why that is? You know, a lot of people talk about air pollution, but what about the pollution in our foods? This is a huge area. Nobody in the mainstream media seems to be talking about it, and very few people in the independent media are talking about it too. Now, everyone will talk about a plus-sized woman saying something completely ridiculous in order to jack up her advertising rates, but not many people are having a conversation about the fact that our food is literally killing us. Now, for legal reasons, I'm going to wrap a massive allegedly around everything I just said about our plus-sized influencer. Because, you know, allegedly, she is doing all of this to jack up her Instagram figures and ultimately raise her advertising rates. Then again, she might not be that smart, and she might honestly believe that all plus-sized people deserve extra airline seats for free. Who am I to know? I'm just a single white guy talking into a microphone. Now, you might consider me being quite toxic for my opinions. You might be looking at me and go, well, look at this single white guy here ranting into a microphone. He's pretty toxic. But the question you need to ask yourself is this: am I as toxic as the food you're putting into your body?